Hi guys, so this is going to be my job shadow presentation. I just want to say sorry right now if you hear background noises, and of course I have cats, so hopefully we don't have any kitty fights during this video, but it's also right around feeding time, so there's a good chance that we might hear that. But other than that, I want to talk about the job shadow that I was able to do. So I went to my local veterinary clinic, which is Town and Country in Auburn, Nebraska, and this is actually a clinic for FFA that we worked at. So I was on the vet science team for my FFA chapter, and this was actually the veterinarian, Dr. Kristen Bowling, who taught me actually a majority of the stuff I knew before coming to college. And I got my passion from animals, and then my granddad is also a veterinarian, a retired veterinarian, so that helped me grow my passion into helping animals and doing a career with animals. Well, she kind of just solidified it and really gave me the path I wanted, because I still wasn't sure until I went to college if I wanted to be a vet or a vet tech. Well, she made that pretty easy for me, and it's actually really cool to hear her story. She actually went to school to be a vet tech originally, and then about 5 years after that, I believe, she decided to become a full-blown veterinarian, and she did all animals, all species, and actually, before I went to college, my last 2 years of high school, I helped her with an embryo transfer program, or project, we'll call it project, where she actually used her own mares as surrogates and would bring in clientele mares, and we would breed them, and once we knew they had a viable embryo, we would actually flush the embryo from the original mare and put it into the surrogate mare. And that was very amazing to experience that, and we did about 20 mares. And that was extremely cool to experience, and Kristen is an amazing person. Whenever I take my own animals there, she always has her clients in there, especially that she knew I was going into a career field like that. She pulled me in more than what she would do with a lot of clients. I volunteered a lot of my time. That's where I actually got my very first job as a kennel assistant, so I took care of the kennels and all the animals on the weekend when the clinic was not on hours. And, if there was any emergencies during that time, I would also help. So that was a lot of fun and also scary at the same time, dealing with those emergencies. So the job shadow was really different because, of course, COVID-19 is happening, and when I came home, the clinic was still on regular working hours, the lobby was open to everyone, and then the day I came, the lobby closed. And let me tell you, some of the clients were okay with it, and then we had a few that were just brutally honest on how they felt, but it's kind of just how it is. So, starting out the day, I was dressed up all nice and fancy, and I knew that working with animals, I asked her, are you okay if I change? And she was like, get into some scrubs. I'm not going to have you wear nice clothes around animals, because I don't know what's coming in. So, luckily I was able to change into some comfy scrubs, and I was so happy. To start the day off, we just had a couple dentals come in. We had a cat dental and then an older dog dental. The cat was high risk. Excuse me, get out. Was very much high risk. He had, I want to say, some liver issues. His liver and kidneys levels were really, really high, like almost dangerous high, but he needed a dental. So we did the dental, and we actually had to pull about 4 teeth on him, and she allowed me to help with the pre and post-op care. So, she is a certified clinic. She has accreditation, so I can't do a lot, but she allowed me to do more than what I have been able to do at the college, which is sad, but I got so much experience. But that's learning, isn't it? And I was able to help restrain. I put in the IV catheters. although they first had me do it on their clinic cat and was like, well, let's just make sure you can do this first. So I was able to do that, and then I was able to watch them put the animals under. I seriously was right there next to her the entire time during the dentals. So those 2 dentals actually went quite smoothly. And then we had a dog come in that had like these weird bumps. She called them bumps. They're masses. Any little bump in the mass. Well, the owner was really worried about cancer because this dog actually had cancer. I don't know what type of cancer, but he did have cancer in the past. So we decided to sedate the dog and to cauterize all the masses off and send them in for testing. So that was really interesting to see how the clinic did their testing. So, we put in a hazardous bag, the mass in a hazardous bag, we triple bag it, and then she actually does something very interesting. She takes those 3 bags with the mass, and then the paperwork and the document, and then she puts in another bag, and she duct tapes the bag, which I've never seen before, and then she puts it in a box. And then we tape the crap out of the box. And she just says, in case something happens, this mass and this paperwork are staying together. So that was very interesting to see. And that was actually not our first box to send out for that day. So as we got into the day, lunchtime came. Really, the morning was very quiet. We had a couple dogs come in for routine exams. And then right after lunch, we had a dog come in that had gotten into raisins. Raisins are poisonous dogs, almost more poisonous than chocolate. So, we put hydrogen peroxide down this dog's throat, like, right after we got the dog, and the owners wanted to come in the clinic. And we were like, I'm sorry, you have to stay outside. That is just the rules right now. Those owners were very upset. Madly upset, where they were crying upset. So they sat looking in our lobby windows, but they can't see into the back. They just sat there looking into the lobby windows, and we were like, okay. And the dog threw up about 10 raisins and half a bologna sandwich. So this dog had a really good lunch apparently, just some wrong dessert items, we'll call it. So, that dog left in about 45 minutes, was perfectly happy. We did decide to take an x-ray just to see how his intestine was going, and luckily we got the dog right after it happened. So, that dog went away very nicely. We had then a very obese yellow lab come in. This dog was 97.5 pounds. That is ridiculous for just a classic yellow lab. And the owners were really worried because it dropped 10 pounds in a week. And we were like, well, technically the dog could lose a little bit more weight. And Dr. Bowling had a very heart-to-heart conversation with the owners. The dog needs to go on a diet. That means he does not get scraps. He does not get to eat the cat food. This dog would apparently go eat the horse feed too. So the owners had to safety lock their storage room that they kept the food in, because the dog knew how to open doors, which, my cats know how to open doors. This guy back here knows how to open my room doors. I will not put it back past them to know how to open doors. So they said the dog just wasn't acting right, and we couldn't find anything with the dog other than he was a little dehydrated, so he got to leave. The most interesting case that came in was this little Chihuahua. He was a little tiny thing, maybe 8 pounds. No, I'd probably say more like 3-4 pounds. Okay, so he was really tiny. And he had nails that, kid you not, were at least half an inch long, curling around into his pads on his feet. And the owner, in the parking lot for 30 minutes, hysterically crying because she could not come into the clinic with her dog for the nail trim. And, she said, oh, if I wear a mask, I'm allowed in. And Dr. Bowling finally went out because they did not let me go out and retreat the dog because they knew this client was very difficult. And everybody at the clinic is like, she mentally has something wrong. And we don't know what, but we just deal with it. So that was very interesting to deal with. Dr. Bowling finally went out and she was like, I got other clients coming up. You either have two options. One, let us take the dog and you sit out here and be happy-go-lucky and be perfectly fine. Or two, you reschedule it when we have the lobby open. The owner finally gave the dog over, and in 2 minutes we had the dog back in her arms, perfectly happy and good to go. The last case we had was this old chocolate / Great Dane mix male dog come in. He was intact, and his hind leg was completely swollen. It was the left hind, and right before he came, this mass exploded out the side of his leg. It was still attached. So when we got him in there, me and another vet tech were cleaning up for the night. So Dr. Bowling and just the other vet tech decided, we'll just do some local anesthetic, get this over with. This dog is super sweet. In the end, it took all three of us, the two vet techs and me, to hold this dog down, and we were still scooting across the floor, so there was a streak of blood because we had to cut the mass off because we did feel like it was cancerous. Dr. Bowling was like, we have to send this off. And we also had to cut out a lymph node to send that in for diagnostic testing. That took about an hour to do. And we felt so bad for this dog because this dog was struggling so much. He couldn't feel anything because Dr. Bowling used more than enough local anesthetic to numb the entire thing, so he was just freaking out to freak out. And he was scared. His mom couldn't come in with him, and she was probably the best client of the day. She was like, I'll just sit in my car and call me if anything needs to go on. If you need to stay over the night, just let me know. So she was very understanding, which was very nice for us. I really enjoyed that. So, it was just kind of a situation where we had to restrain the dog a lot heavier than what we wanted to get the job done because we needed to get it done. So, in the end, I had a fantastic experience. It was really nice getting back into a clinic setting where I started out at. And, it was really interesting to see how we had to work with the clients and how working with the animals was very different. It was definitely a lot more difficult to deal with. But, I'm happy I had that experience with people who know me, who helped work with me when I was younger, and Dr. Bowling, who has a lot of faith in me and allows me to do a little bit more than what I might get to. So this is my job shadow experience. Thank you.